Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for watching this one. This is gonna be our session 1 of YSCT of our P-Series Software Edition. It's quite special, first of all, guys. We're just gonna talk about the configurations of our software edition of the P-Series system, not like the previous one, which is gonna be the appliance edition. Now, pretty sure you guys can see the difference between the appliance edition and the software edition. This one is totally virtualized. And for the configuration, of course, step one, what you're supposed to do is going to be the deployment. All right, so it's not like the appliance edition. You get the hardware, you get the system, and you're just ready to go. But the software edition, it's just a software installation pack. So you're supposed to deploy the system in advance, and after that, you can start your configuration. So theoretically, the whole process of the configuration will just be these two parts. Like I said, part one will be the system deployment. That will be kind of like how our preparation work. And part two will be the configuration, same as usual. So for the part two will be the easy one, I guess. We can just jump into the system, configure the entire system, and we can just make use of this particular solution for making costs. All right. Anyway, enough talk. So this is going to be session 1. Let's just get started for this session 1. Now, in the session 1, I'm going to talk about, like I said, first of all, I'm going to give you guys an overview of this entire solution. And then we're also going to talk about the deployment, like I said. So, the software edition can support multiple platforms for the deployment. So in this particular session, we're just going to talk about 2 examples. Number 1 will be the deployment on the VMware. Number 2 will be the deployment on the AWS. So I'm going to use 2 examples to talk about the deployment. And after this, the next part will just be the basic configuration of your P-Series system. So it's like once we figure out the deployment, what next? All right, so that will be the next part for this particular session. All right, anyway, enough talk. Let's get started with our session 1 today. So first thing first, guys, let's just take an overview of the P-Series Software Edition. Like I said at the very beginning, this is totally different, especially comparing with our hardware solution, which is the appliance edition. Now, you will have a fully virtualized solution, which means you don't need to get any hardware there. You will just get this particular software installation pack from Yeastar. That's fully virtualized. And you're going to deploy this solution on your own server. All right, so this server, like I mentioned, it could be a VMware, a virtual machine like that. It could also be a solution based on the public cloud, like AWS. All right. And as for the software edition, take a look. This solution can support from 1,000 users to maximally 10,000 users, and it will provide you maximally 1,000 concurrent costs. So it's a big system, guys. This is definitely a big system. And it's very flexible, quite flexible, especially for extensions. All right, for concurrent costs, you can choose whatever you want there, customize the system. You do have that flexibility. Now, for example, if I have a project, I need a solution with maybe 125 extensions. Well, I can do it. Or maybe I have a big project, I got 8,000 users. Well, once again, we can also use the software edition to make it work easily. So it's pure software-based, it's pure virtualized, very flexible. And have a check on this topology, guys. This is basically the way how we're going to make the solution works. And in general, have a look. So you guys can see the whole solution is just fully software-based, all right? So for your local area network, let's see this one on my left hand, for example. If I get a data center or I get a server, anyway, I will simply need to install the P-Series Software Edition on it. This is what I'm going to do. And after that, this particular server or the data center, whatever, that particular hardware will just, provide me the solution for the communication system. That's it. And as for other configurations, they're all the same thing, just like the old way, just like the way how you're going to deploy the hardware system. It's the same way. So you're going to register your IP phones, your Linux UC clients on this P-Series Software Edition based on the local area network. Not a problem. And of course, on this local area network, we're going to have router, we're going to have firewall. Anyway, they're just going to in charge of the network management and also the security. Okay, then on the other side, which is going to be your remote offices. All right, your remote offices, your home offices, anyway, you will do the same thing. Because, on the P-Series system, we got a very special solution for the remote working. We provide you the FQDN. So even for the remote office, we can also use the public network. So the connections, the registrations, communications, anyway, they're all going to go through the public network to get connected with the P-Series Software Edition, which is deployed on your local area network. So anyway, this is a very general topology which just explains everything in general. Okay, now let's just have a check on more details. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. Let's have a check on this one, part 2, the deployment platform. Okay, deploy platforms, as I mentioned, it's a software base. So you do have that flexibility to deploy the whole thing on different platforms. It's really flexible on your choice, actually. So have a quick look, guys. Here are a few examples which are quite, popular in the market. So number one, if you prefer, I guess this is also the most popular solution for most of our customers. We can deploy the P-Series Software Edition on the VMware. All right, so this is the first thing. Absolutely, we support it. Number two, if you want to deploy this on Microsoft, yes, sure, we also get the solution, which is the Hyper-V. So you can also choose to deploy the entire solution on the Microsoft Hyper-V. Number three will be a public cloud solution like I mentioned, which is AWS. So that solution is also supported. And also, by the way, guys, the deployment on the AWS will be really, really easy. All right, so later on, I'm going to give you a couple of points. I'm also going to give you the live demo, of course. Okay, next one, number four. Number four, the KVM from Linux. This is also supported, not a problem. And the last one, this is just an example. Like I said, you can also choose to deploy the P-Series Software Edition on a hardware server, for example, like Dell, or maybe some other brands. There are so many choices, depends on you. So that's also supported. You can also choose to deploy the whole thing on that particular hardware server as well. Okay, now let's keep going. Next part. So talking about the deployment, I guess the first thing we're supposed to figure out will be the requirement, will be the condition, right? So what's the condition for the preparation, right? You want me to get prepared for the server deployment, solution deployment, then at least I'm supposed to, get more details about the server requirement. So let's just have a check. For the server requirement, you got a couple of choices there. It depends on how many extensions and especially how many concurrent calls you have there. This is the key word, concurrent call. Have a look. So if you're running the system with under 100 concurrent calls, for example, which is from 0 to 75 concurrent calls, the requirement for your VMware, this is just an example. All right, let's take a look. VMware Workstation. Okay, so the requirement for it will be 4 virtual CPUs. The CPU frequency will just be 2.4 gigahertz. Memory is supposed to be 4 gigs. All right, call recording, if you want to have it, you will need to make sure you got 50 gigs. All right, this is what you need. If you just disable the call recording, by the way, I'm sorry. So if you enable the call recording, all right, we just recommend you guys get prepared with 1 terabytes of the storage for the recording. So this is very important. All right. And of course, if you have a big project, let's see, I got a big project for around 8,000 users, or maybe let's just say around 800 or 1,000 concurrent calls. So you guys can see it will be this. From 751 concurrent calls to 1,000 concurrent calls, which is the maximum concurrent calls, right? You're going to need 64 virtual CPUs plus 3.2 gigahertz, And you will also need 32 gigs for memory, 500 gigs for the storage without recording. Now, if you need recording, once again, at least to get prepared with 1 terabyte. All right, so this is what you need. Or maybe you got a huge project in the future. So you need more concurrent calls, more than 1,000 concurrent calls. Please check with the Yeastar. Okay, so anytime you can just check with the Yeastar for more details. That's also doable. All right, now let's just keep going for the next part. Next part, this is gonna be the installation pack, I guess. So first of all, you guys can see Once we figure out the conditions for the preparation, the next step is going to be the installation package. We need to get the installation package. So we provide you guys two different installation packages. All right. We get automatic and manual packages. All right. So based on different installation method, well, if you want to make it easier, you can just choose the automatic installation. That's fine. If you want to make it be a little bit different, you want to customize something else, you can choose the manual installation. By the way, you guys can see the differences here. All right, just a little bit different here. All right, not a big deal. Okay, you guys can also go check on here to download that installation pack directly. All right. But anyway, if you need to download the installation package or the details or video tutorials, the user manuals, anyway, please don't forget to visit Yeastar.com. All right, you can always get the thing you need from our website. Okay, now let's keep going for the next move. Okay, next step. So let's have a check here. Next step, let's just talk about this installation for the virtual machine, which is the VMware. Okay, so for this part, I guess I'm gonna show you a live demo. It's better for me to show you a live demo here. So let me switch my screen. Okay, so just give me a couple of seconds. Let me just switch my screen now. Okay, there you go. Back to the main menu. All right, back to the desktop. Here we go. So step one, what you're supposed to do is, we're going to talk about the deployment on the virtual machine, on this VMware virtual machine, right? So absolutely, first thing you're supposed to do there is you will need to download the VMware Workstation Pro from the VMware's website. Of course, they provide you this. All right, so download this from there and install the workstation, the VMware workstation on your computer, all right, on your PC. For example, I'm going to use my PC as an example, so let's just have a check here. Now, they do provide you trial license, by the way. Well, I'm just going to use the trial license for this installation. So here we go. I already figured out the installation of my VMware workstation, as you guys can see here. And I already got the installation pack for our P-Series Software Edition. It's also here. You can see there. And now, let's just keep going. So the next step here is we're going to create a virtual machine. Just like I said, we're going to create a virtual machine to deploy the P-Series Software Edition. Now, of course, on the Workstation Pro here, you guys will need to choose create a new virtual machine. This is exactly what you're supposed to do. Okay? Now, let's keep going. So right over here to create a new virtual machine, the easiest way for you to do this, we can just use typical, all right? You don't need to customize anything now. Not necessary. I mean, we're just going to use the easiest one to illustrate how are we going to deploy this. So we're going to use the typical, which is recommended, and go click on next. This is exactly what we're going to do. Okay. And now, here we go. You guys can see this one, installer disk image file, and I will install the operating system later. The virtual machine will be created with a blank hard disk. Actually, this is the option we're going to take. So we're going to choose the second one. Now we go click on next. So let's move forward. Okay, next step here, and we're going to choose Linux, of course. We don't use Microsoft. We don't use others. We will use Linux. This is exactly what we're going to choose. And the version here, have a look. We're going to use Ubuntu 64-bit. This is the thing we're going to choose. There you go. Okay, now click on next. Okay. So here, the virtual machine name, okay, you guys will see this, the virtual machine name. So the virtual machine name here, well, I think we can make it be more specific. Currently, this is called Ubuntu 64-bit, and if you want to make it be more clear, I think you can also type something like P-Series. Okay, so P-Series. All right, I think that will be more clear. Okay, let's try this. Okay, so the virtual machine name is going to be Ubuntu 64 P-Series. All right, and now we go click on next. Let's just move forward. Okay, now here, guys, here you can see maximum disk size. This one, it's supposed to be 40 gigs, all right? Bigger than 40 gigs, this is our recommendation. So you will need to change this, all right, to 40 gigs. Let me just change it here directly. All right, so now we go click on next one. All right, by the way, this is just our recommendation. Okay, so it's better for you to get prepared with 40 gigs for this, then click on next. Okay, so here you're going to have an overview of this virtual machine. All right, just take a quick look here. Everything's all clear. And now I think we can just go click on finish. Okay, so this is the way how we're going to set this virtual machine on our, the VMware. Okay, so next step, okay. Next step is we're going to configure this virtual machine. We're going to need to set something on the virtual machine. So make sure the virtual machine is just ready to go to deploy in our P-Series Software Edition. Okay. Now, by the way, for the deployment, this virtual machine can be installed on a computer with a single NIC or dual NIC mode. That's optional, actually. So the configuration process is different in different, scenarios. Like I said, we can support single NIC or dual NIC. All right, so it depends on you. All right, so we just need to figure out what's the difference between these two different modes, and let's keep going. Let's have a check on the first one, which is the single NIC computer. Okay. So for the next step, what we're going to do here is, first of all, you can see here, my computer, and right over here, you will see this particular category, which is the Ubuntu 64. That's the one I created before. All right, so this is the virtual machine we got before. Now, you guys can see added virtual machine settings. There you go. You're going to go access here. All right, so we're going to, configure something for this particular virtual machine. Okay, now next step. We're going to go to the hardware and find the hard disk. All right, make sure there's only one hard disk. So check this one. This is what we need to do. All right. Excuse me. All right. So go check on hard disk here and move forward. And also, by the way, for this hard disk, for this particular hard disk, like I said, make sure there's only one hard disk. Okay. Otherwise, you will get something wrong with it. Okay. And the next step will be this one, CD and DVD. All right, there you go. You will need to go check on this one. All right, just need to enable connect at power on. That's something you need to make sure. Connect at power on. All right, don't forget this. Okay, and then here, connection here. Connection here, we got two options. Use physical drive or use ISO image file. So we're going to use the second one. Use the ISO image file. All right. So this ISO image file, you're going to click on Browse and just find it on your desktop. All right, on my desktop. Okay, I'm just, wait a second. Okay, so let's do this again. Okay, so go check on that, and we're going to find the P-Series Software Edition. Okay, choose the Use ISO image file and click on Browse to find installation image file for the P-Series. Okay, so I think it's on my desktop, but I just can't find it. This is weird. Okay, wait a second. Okay, there you go. So find this one. This is what we're going to do. Now, let's just keep going. Next part, still in the hardware, and we're going to go click on network. Let's find the network adapter here. All right, and you guys can see here we have network connection. We'll use bridged. All right, connect to direct to the physical network. That's what we're going to choose. Okay, after this, then keep going. After this, we can go check on options. Okay, check on options, and here we will just need to go click on advanced. All right, that's what we're going to do. Then in the firmware type, we will choose BIOS. This one. Make sure it's BIOS. Okay, then we click on OK. So this is something we're supposed to do. This is just the way we set up the single NIC virtual machine. All right. So some customers, they might also need the dual NIC. All right, it just depends on them. Okay. So let's just keep going. All right. Now, next one. I'm just going to talk about the other one, the other mode, which is the dual NIC computer. So for that circumstance, you will need to go click on Edit first. Okay, have a look here. We will need to choose Virtual Network Editor. This is what we're gonna do. All right, so we go access this place, then we click on Change Settings. Okay, and right over here, you will see the Change Settings here. This is exactly what we're gonna do. Move forward. Okay. So, like I said, this is gonna be the solution for the other mode, which is door NIC. And right over here, the first thing here you can see the type here is which is bridge. All right, we're gonna select this one, and here you make sure this is bridge. Okay, this is what we need to do for the next step. Okay, and the next one is bridge to 2. Okay, so bridge to 2 here in the drop-down list, you will just need to choose the physical network cards. Now, for example, on my computer right now, I guess it might be this one. Yeah, that's my physical network card. Okay, I will choose this one. Then I will just click on OK. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do for this step. And after this, back to here, click on Edit Virtual Machine Settings. Once again, I'll go click on that. And over here, you're going to go check on hard disk. Again, go click on hard disk. And here, make sure there's only one hard disk. Once again, same as Euro, same as what I was talking about before. Okay, and you're going to go for the same process. Go check on CD and DVD here. Make sure this one is selected, which is connect, add power on. And this one, use ISO image file. Select the Yeastar P-Series Software Edition. Okay, don't forget to select that one. This is what we're going to do for this step. Okay, after this, back to the network, and here. All right, click on network here. You guys can see we got this one, custom specific virtual network, and you're going to use this. Okay, so in the drop-down list, we will just need to choose this one, VMnet 0. That's exactly the one we're going to take. Okay, after this, then we click on OK. So this is for the, the door NIC. All right, so 2 options. Once again, it just depends on our customers exactly what they're looking for. What are they looking for? What do they need? They just got 2 options. Okay. Now, so this is just the preparation work for the virtual machine, and next step. Next step will be the installation. All right, so we're gonna start talking about the installation of our P-Series Software Edition on this virtual machine. So, the next step here, first thing is we're gonna go back to the virtual machine, and we're gonna go click on this one, power on this virtual machine. This is what we need to do for this particular step. So we will need to power this thing on. Okay, so power this thing on, and you will see this, okay? Okay, so right over here, let's just have a look. When you see the highlighted figure, all right, please just press the enter. That's what we're gonna need to do. Okay. Now just wait for a couple of seconds. Okay, it's still running. I think probably I got something wrong with this virtual machine. But anyway, let's just wait for a while. Okay? But anyway, generally speaking, the whole process will just be like this. And maybe something wrong with this one. I'm not sure. Okay. But anyway, so you guys will just follow this step by step to finish this one. Okay. I think I will need to check on my presentation. Get back to the presentation. I think probably this one will take, it will just take a couple of seconds. Let's just switch it back. Okay, let's just wait for a while. All right. Now, let's get back to this one. I'm going to keep talking about something else. So, like I said, I will show you this screenshot. All right. So, like I said, we're going to figure out this installation for the P-Series Software Edition. It will just take a couple of seconds. You will just need to wait for a while until we finish the installation. And the last step, by the way, have a check on the screenshot first. The last step is going to be this, IP PBX login. So when IP PBX login appears, the PBX is installed successfully. Okay, so this is the way how we're going to figure out the installation for this particular, the software edition. Okay, now back to the main menu, back to the desktop. Still operating system not found. I guess probably something wrong with my installation package. Maybe, but let's just keep going. All right, back to this presentation. Have a check here. All right. So anyway, like I said, that will be the thing what we're going to do for this installation of the P-Series Software Edition on the virtual machine. Now, keep going. Another platform I'm going to talk about in today's session will be the installation on the AWS. Okay, so first of all, let's keep going with the AWS installation. The AWS installation, first thing first, I guess we're supposed to take a look at this diagram. Let's just have a look. Basically, this is the whole process for us to run the P-Series Software Edition on the AWS. I mean, technically, this is also like a virtual machine. Again, this is just like we create another virtual machine on the AWS. But the difference is AWS is a public cloud. That's it. That's the big difference. So you're going to deploy the Software Edition on the AWS as a single instance solution based on the cloud. That's it. Okay. So have a check on this topology. You guys can see we will fix our P-Series Software Edition on the AWS, which is instance, that particular part. We're just going to run this instance on the AWS. And AWS got a couple of layers. You got this instance layer, subnet layer, and VPC layer. And then the last part will be, the whole AWS. This is basically what it is. Okay. Anyway, let's just talk about more details. Okay. So for the AWS solution, I guess, I want to share something with you guys first. Have a look. Let's switch it to the AWS. Okay. About the AWS installation, actually, we got an easier solution for you guys to get started. First, the thing is you will need to log into your AWS account. All right. If you have it, you can just log in directly. Then go check on EC2. All right, because the whole solution is based on EC2. Or another solution is, you can also, maybe if you don't have the AWS account, that's fine. You can also create a new AWS account with no problem. They would just ask you some basic information. That's it. To create a new account, then you can use this new account to log into the AWS. The whole process is okay without any additional charges. You can just do this directly. For example, I'm already in the AWS now. So like I said, the whole solution is based on EC2. So we're just going to go access EC2 dashboard directly here. Now, the easiest way for us to do this is you can see here we have instance. Okay, so you will simply need to go check on instances here directly. I'm sorry, I need to re-log in again. So let me just re-log in again. Okay, so let's just jump into AWS again. Okay, here we go. Now, in the AWS, like I said, you will see the EC2. All right, this is the thing we need there. All right. And after this, of course, you can have a quick look on the AWS interface here, get more details, but let's just keep talking about the installation. All right, so we're going to go click on instances here directly. All right, over here currently you can see nothing because I have nothing to run. I don't have any instances which is running now, so I will just need to click on launch instances. Okay, we click on launch instances. Right over here you can see application and OS images, which is Amazon machine image, which is also the AMI on the AWS. This is exactly what we're looking for. You can simply go check on browse more AMS. If you need more details, you can see here all the details are here, but they're not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is we will need to click on community AMIs here, and in the search bar you guys will need to search Yeastar. Go for it. This is the thing we're looking for. And you can find Yeastar P-Series Software Edition. It's already there, actually. It's so easy to start. So the Software Edition is already there. We got a different versions. Anyway, you got a different versions here. So you will make your choice. All right, select the one which you need there. And for example, I'm going to select the first one. And over here, okay, and over here, we already choose that particular instance, all right, that particular AMI. Then we're going to run it. So Next step is we will need to use AWS solution. We will need their service, right? Then the instance type here, you will need to make your choice. Which license are you going to use it to run this, the software edition? Okay. Now, as for this part, I got something want to share with you guys. Back to my presentation. Okay, let's just keep going with this particular page. All right, first of all, let's take a look on this page. Okay. So if you're not clear about the option, like, wow, AWS got many solutions, many licenses, which one am I supposed to choose? You can have a look here. It depends on how many concurrent calls you're looking for, once again. So if you're running the system with under 100 concurrent calls, well, we just recommend you guys get ready with 4 virtual CPUs, 4 gigs memory. All right. So you can have a look on this one as your reference. Okay, just as your reference, and back to your AWS. Okay, and choose the license. For example, like a T2 large, it provides you 2 virtual CPU plus 8 gigs memory. All right, or T2 large, 2x large. All right, that's a big one. That's a bigger one actually. You will have 8 virtual CPU plus 32 gigs memory. All right. Anyway, like I said, you can back to that particular form, give it a check there, then you back on the AWS, make your own selection. So this is basically what you're going to do there. Once you select that one, once you select a particular license, for example, like a T2 Medium, for example, then you can just launch it, launch the instance directly without any additional configuration. So this is the easiest way for you to configure, to install the P-Series Software Edition on your AWS. Now, of course, you can have some customization. For example, like a network settings for your AWS, you can absolutely, or even the storage, you can absolutely have some, flexible, personalized customization for it. It depends on you. It just depends on you. So what I'm talking about here is just the way how we're going to launch this instance directly on the AWS. But of course, you can have more detailed customization on it. So let's get back to this. Back to my presentation, I will show you a couple of things which are quite detailed to explain how are we going to customize it. Now, first of all, if you're going to launch the P-Series Software Edition on the AWS, you can just run it directly, or you can do this manually, step by step. For example, you can back here, jump into your AWS, just create a VPC, all right, virtual private cloud by yourself. This is fine. You can use the already existing solution to launch it directly, then you have a little bit customization, or you can also create this whole thing by yourself manually. This is also supported. Create a virtual private cloud, okay? So this will be more detailed actually. This virtual private cloud is totally under your control. You're supposed to configure this, all this by yourself, all right? And have a look. Quite easy. You're going to create this virtual private cloud, so you will need to name it. And for this IPv4, we're just going to use this one. All right, we're going to use this particular one. Have a check on my screenshot. All right, please have a check on my screenshot. And as for the IPv6 block, all right, the CIDR block, well, no CIDR block. Choose the first one. Don't forget it. The tendency here, we will choose default. This is what we're supposed to do for the preparation. Now, move forward. The next part will be the subnet for the VPC. Now, once again, I believe you guys still remember that topology, that diagram I showed you at the very beginning. So, the next step here for the VPC configuration, you will need to choose the VPC here, create the subnet for it. So, in this drop-down list, all right, I think you can just use something you already created before, which is called VPC 078A44C15, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, this one is the one I created before, so we're going to use the existing one, all right. The subnet here, you can name it, all right, give it a particular name. For example, subnet for P-Series Software Edition or for PSE, anyway, just name it, make sure you can understand. Then, availability zone here, no preference. All right, we will choose this one. The IPv4 block, CIDR block here, be careful, this one will be 24, all right, not 16. It will be 24. Choose this one. Now, move forward. The next step will just be the gateway. All right, so we already got the subnet, then we need the gateway. We need to figure out the transmission, so we need a gateway. So, move forward. Again, in the network internet settings, the internet gateways here, we will need to create an internet gateway. This is what we're going to do for the next step. So same as usual, you're supposed to name this gateway. So give it a name, like a gateway for P-Series Software Edition or PSE, just name it, okay? Then here, actions attached to VPC, because this is our purpose. We create this gateway is actually for serving that VPC, of course, attached to VPC. Then the drop-down list, you will choose the VPC you created before. So this is the thing you're supposed to do. All right, after this, move forward. All right, just move forward. The next step will be route table. So you got the gateway. Think about this. You got the virtual private cloud. You got the subnet. You also got the gateway. Now the next step is you're going to set the route, right? You're going to tell the system what is the route, what is the route rule, right? So we will need to go click on route tables here, create a new route table. I mean, logically, this is easy to understand. All right, so I think just a couple of things will be a little bit tricky. Might be the interface, because on the AWS interface, you have so many options. So the only thing might be a little bit tricky is you need to be very careful. You need to find those items on that interface. But as for the configuration, step by step. All right, so we create this route table for that VPC. Once again, you guys can see this. This VPC is the one we created at the very beginning. So we create the route table for that VPC. Then keep going. Keep going. The next step will be this. Edit routes. All right, so we need to edit this particular routes. All right, we already got the route table. Then we just need to set a couple of routes there. So we add this particular routes. Now, keep going. Once we figure out the route settings, then we need to associate this route table with the subnet for the P-Series Software Edition. Just make sure they're all connected. They're all associated with each other. Then, that's it. So this is the way how we prepared this VPC on the EC2 on the AWS platform. So the next step, once again, like I said, launch the instance. You can just launch the instance directly. Okay, so this is the manual way for you to get prepared for the whole thing. The previous step, the previous solution I showed you guys will be an Yeastar solution. That's like everything is all pre-configured, so you don't need to worry about this. You can just go for it directly. You can just go launch the instance directly because it's all pre-configured. I think that will be much easier. The previous one will be much easier. But this one is just like a manual solution. If you want to create the virtual private cloud by yourself, you go this way. Okay. But anyway, for the launching instances, you will do the same thing. You go check on launch instance, and you're going to find our P-Series Software Edition on it. And once again, back to this page. Once again, I believe you guys can take a screenshot. All right. Choose the instance. How do we choose the instance? Have a look on this. All right. Just like I mentioned, figure out exactly how many concurrent calls are you looking for. Then you go search the instance. You go find the right one, launch it. Okay. After this, you can absolutely configure your instance on your AWS, of course. So, for example, right over here in the network, you can select the VPC created in the previous step. So, in the subnet here, you can select the subnet which you created before. All right, of course, because all these are totally created by yourself. Then just keep going for the next step. Okay. Then here for the instance configuration, you will need to add the storage. Okay, so the size here will be 50 gigs. All right, that's it. Well, once again, guys, you still remember we just recommend you guys assign at least 40 gigs for storage space for the instance. Don't forget that. Okay, so here I guess this is 50. That's fine. That's fine. 50 is okay. We can just live it this way. All right. Then just go for the next step. Add the tag. All right. So in this one, all right, you can see here we drop. I drop this key line here. Right? A tag is the label that you assign to an AWS resource. Each tag consists of a key and an optional value, both of which you define. Tags enable you to categorize your AWS resources in different ways. For example, by purpose, owner, or environment. Another example, you could define a set of tags for your account's Amazon EC2 instances that helps you track each instance's owners, and stack level. That's it. That's exactly the way how we're going to use this. The tag. All right. Just for helping you guys to figure out the details. Okay. Then we just need to configure the instance. This is what we're going to do for the next step. So here, configure the security group. You will need to choose the first one, which is create a new security group. This is what you need to do there. All right, the type here, we'll choose all traffic. Okay. Custom here, we can just keep the default here like this. All right. Then move forward. Next step. You will be able to see your P-Series Software Edition. It will be posted in the list, in your instances list, on the AWS. All right. So you will even see that public IP address, and that public IP address will be the instance IP address. So you will use that IP address to access your P-Series Software Edition. Then you will see the installation wizard. Which is going to be this. All right, I'm going to show you more details here. So once we're in the system, all right, the first thing we will see there will just be the installation wizard. All right, it will just be the installation wizard. Okay. And also, by the way, for AWS, you guys can see the IP address will be this public IP address because it's based on your AWS. Once again, AWS will just assign this IP address for you. So you're going to use this one as the server address to log in. But for the P-Series deployment on the virtual machine, which is the VMware, for example, the default IP address will be 192.168.5.150. Okay, so this is a little bit different because that's deployed on the local. All right, it's local deployment. AWS is totally on the cloud. All right. But anyway, after this, the next step will be the same thing. It will just be the installation wizard. So for the installation wizard, you guys can see here, log into the installation wizard. First of all, you will have some basic settings for your networks. Okay, we can keep the default, not a problem. Then you will need to activate your system. Okay, guys, so we provide you this installation package. You figure out the deployment. The next step you're supposed to do will just be the activation. So don't forget to get the activation code from Yeastar. All right, P-Series Software Edition, it's subscription-based. So you can choose either Enterprise plan or Ultimate plan, whatever. Whatever the plan you choose there, you will get the activation code from us or from our local distributor. Anyway, then just over here, enter the activation code. You got two options, by the way. You can choose online, so you drop the activation code there, or you can choose the offline. That's also supported. So here you can download the request file and send the request file to your PBX provider to get the activation code. That's just going to be another solution. But I guess if you have the internet access, you can just use the first one. Get the activation code directly from them. Okay? Then we can move forward, which is going to be the administrator settings right over here. You will need to set your username, your password, your event notifications. And once again, guys, P-Series system, it never provides you a fixed username or the password. There's no username and the password at the very beginning. So once again, don't forget it. You will need to configure the username and the password by yourself. Okay, this is for security reason. Once again, just don't forget it. All right. After this, you will need to set the date and time. All right, some personalization for the system. Okay, so the localization, date and time, everything's all confirmed. Then go check on reboot. So there you go. Welcome to the system. Welcome aboard. That's the next step. Okay, the next step is we can just jump into our system. We can just jump into the P-Series Software Edition. I'm going to switch it to the live demo. Let's talk about more details on the P-Series Software Edition. So have a check. Here we go. You guys can see this is the P-Series Software Edition. Now I'm going to jump in. Okay, let's jump in. So like I said, the username and the password is something you're supposed to configure by yourself. Don't forget it. And once you're in the system, you can just see we're already in the system. Okay. Now, let me just turn this thing off. Okay, here we go. Now, once we're in the system, the first thing we have here will be the dashboard, of course. So you will be able to figure out all the details of your Software Edition's working status. Have a check here. All right. If you need more details about the system, you can also go click on information. So you can get the details here, of course. Okay, now let's keep going. Let's just keep going. Like I said, you can, first thing, when you're in the system, you can go click on System, have a quick look on the network if you want to have some sort of customizations. But of course, I can change nothing. This one is based on AWS. I don't have any options to change the network settings here, but just have a look. All right. And also, we got a Yeastar FQDN here as well. So you can also give it a check here. If you need the Yeastar FQDN, you can also enable the FQDN. Honestly, this is a pretty smart solution, actually. If you never enable the FQDN, every single time you're going to need to use the IP address to jump into the system. Now, let's see. If you're going to deploy the P-Series system in your VMware or Amazon, anyway, you're just going to use that IP address, the public IP address, to log into the system remotely. Like I said, if you're going to deploy this on your virtual machine, the VMware, you will even need to configure port forwarding to do that. Not good for security. So if you care about the security, you want to enhance the security. In other words, the better solution for you here will be the FQDN. So enable the FQDN, don't forget it, and set the FQDN. For example, you can see here, it's called psetrial.res.yeastar.com. So absolutely we can use that particular one, which is psetrial.res.yeastar.com. We can just use that particular FQDN to log into the system as well. Okay, so just don't forget to set this FQDN for enhancing the security. Now, we're in the system. We're in the same system, actually. So anyway, I'm going to turn this thing off. Okay, let's use the FQDN to jump into the system. Okay. There you go. Let's just jump into the system, start talking about the configurations of this one. I see. I cannot log into the system, guys. I cannot log into the system because well, see this one? We got a user permission control. And this is also a good point. This is also a good point. The FQDN feature is fully supported. And a thing here is not just fully supported. We can also set the user permission. So if you don't have the user permission, even you get this FQDN, you cannot log into the system again. All right? So this is very interesting. Now, let me just get that particular IP address. All right? Because I need to log into the system again. So let me see the IP address. All right, give me a second. Let me just have a check on that IP address. Okay, so I think the IP address will be 13.214.136.30, and port will be 8088, of course. Let's just jump in. All right. It's better for me to use the IP address to log in because I don't have the user permission to use it. By the way, just have a check. You can go click on network, check on FQDN. Here, you guys can see we have SIP access and remote access. So, of course, you guys can see this. The web access, remote access service port 443, and it's restricted. That's the reason why I cannot do this. All right. But anyway, that was just an example. So if you want to enhance the security, it's actually very important. So you can add a couple of rules here to enhance your security. Now, this is just for security reasons. So I think I just, restrict all the IP address. They're not going to be able to log into my system through the FQDN. Okay, anyway, so this is what we're going to do for this. All right. Now, we're in the system. Let's keep going. One more thing when you're in the system. All right, let's just talk about this one first. Okay, forget about configurations. I'm going to talk about the configurations in the next session, of course. Now, let's talk about this one, which is very, very important. It's going to be this. So first thing I showed you guys is about the security, which is the remote access. All right, you can use the FQDN. You can also set the user permission to use the FQDN. Okay. And another thing for the security, actually for the system stability, is going to be the redundancy solution. So on the Software Edition, the redundancy solution is also supported. We got a built-in hot standby. Don't forget that, okay? So how do we use the hot standby solution? It's quite easy, guys. Of course, you need two systems, right? But the thing here is, you don't need to purchase any hardware. All right, you will need to purchase a license. All right, let's see this is gonna be the major license. All right, the main license. This is for the primary server, and the other one will just be the secondary license. Secondary system license, that will be a particular one. So please contact with your local distributor or Yeastar to get more details of that secondary system license. All right, it's different, guys. Even the price is different. It's cheaper because that's just a secondary server. All right. Don't forget it. Get the secondary system license, and like I said, you're going to deploy them under the same network. Okay, so for AWS, you will need to deploy them on the AWS together simultaneously. On your virtual machine, on your VMware, well, you would do the same thing, same deployment, of course. I mean, technically, it's nothing special. It's just another PBX, right? And enable the hot standby. Don't forget this, okay? And here, choose the server mode. If this one's going to be the primary server, the other one will just be the secondary server, okay? But like I said, the secondary server needs a particular license. You can see I cannot choose the secondary server here directly because this license is the primary server license. The secondary server, it requires another license, which is the secondary server license. Okay, then over here you will need to enter primary server host name, the secondary server host name. This is like you build the connection between them, all right, and also the secondary server IP address. So we're going to be able to find the other one, which is the secondary server. And access code, as you wish, create an access code. Might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is too easy, right? So you guys can see the length of the value you enter should not be less than 8. Okay, so create a little bit complex access code. Okay, because you're going to use the same code on your secondary server as well. Then the virtual IP address, because you know how standby solution is always work like this. It always works like this. You're going to have the primary server plus the secondary server. They're going to work together. And for your phone registrations, your SIP trunk registration, all of your communications anyway, they're all going to go through this virtual IP address. They're not going to go through any of your primary system or secondary system directly. All right, because we are running two systems together. That's a hot standby solution. So we need a virtual IP address here as well. Make sure you get available virtual IP, configure it here as well. Then for advanced settings, give it a check here. Heartbeat interval. This is advanced settings. Heartbeat interval, this is going to be 2 seconds. Dead time will be 120 seconds. So this is like every 2 seconds, the secondary server will send the detection packet to the primary server to see whether you're alive or not. And the dead time will be 120 seconds. So it's like if over 120 seconds, you never sent me back any feedback packet, let's say, then the secondary server will just take over automatically. That's it. And you can also enable something else like recording data synchronization, enable unilateral WAN port. It's just optional, not that popular. It depends on you. All right, so recording data synchronization, easy to understand. This unilateral WAN port, it's like if you're using the dedicated SIP trunk, guys. So if the way how you use SIP trunk is based on dedicated SIP trunk, all right, it's not based on the traditional network trunk, because you have another cable, another channel for the SIP trunk, well, you can enable unilateral WAN port. So you don't need to change anything there. If there's a problem happens on the primary server, well, you can just fix the SIP trunk because that's a particular cable, on the other one. That's it. Okay, but, this is software edition solution. So mostly for that circumstance, we're going to use another hardware, which is going to be a gateway. We're going to use a particular gateway for handling this dedicated SIP trunk, like I said. Okay. So this is going to be our preparation once we're in the system. And, well, I guess that was all we have for session 1. Now, of course, we have more details left here, like how do we create extensions? How do we set call controls? What about call features? What about links? We're going to talk about them in the next sessions, okay, in the following sessions. All right. So, catch you guys in the next one.